Are there actually any good powerlifting belts out there that are under $100? Well, in this video, we're going to go through a challenge. We're going to start off and see what are the best belts out there from $200 to $300. Then we're going to see what are the best belts out there for $100 to $200. And then finally, we'll see if we can complete the challenge and find a good powerlifting belt for you that is under $100. And as a quick disclaimer, this is going to be based on the prices I see now and based on the US. If you live in a different country or you're watching this video at a later date, the prices may have changed. But the good thing is I'm gonna list a number of belts for each of these price ranges so you can go look at each of these belts and see how much it's gonna cost for you in your country with shipping and all those kind of things. So let's get right into it. So the first price range we're gonna work with is the $200 to $300 price range. It's obviously that is the easiest and we can find the best belts out there. So I came up with 3 belts for this group. That's going to be the SBD belt at $237.50, the A7 belt at $229.95, and then the Titan multi-adjustable lever belt at $225. So I have the SBD belt right here. That's going to be the most expensive one, $237, and it has this special lever right here where you can easily adjust it. So you get the benefit of having a lever belt and be able to get it as tight as possible. Also easily adjustable like a prong belt. So if you are changing weight classes or you like a different adjustment between squat, bench press, and deadlift, or even if you're competing in raw and equipped, it's going to be easy to adjust this. You can go with the A7 belts that are built by Pioneer that also have the IPF approval. So that if you are someone who's competing in the IPF and you need that IPF approved list belt, then you can go something like with the SBD or the A7. Or if you want like a cheaper version of this lever type belt, you can go with the Titan version. They have their own version of this multi-adjustable lever, so you get the benefits of the lever belt and the prong belt, and then theirs is going to be a little bit cheaper. If I'm going to go with one of them, obviously I'm biased. I have the SBD belt here. I've used it. I like it. I like how it works as far as the adjustability of it. But if you're going to go with one of these other belts, I mean, they're all basically the same price. So it just depends on which brand you want. They're all IPF approved. They're all going to be high quality, but just because there's not much of a difference in the price, and this is the one that I've used before and I know and I like, this is the one that I would go with if I was someone looking for a belt in a $200 to $300 range. Now let's move on to the $100 to $200 price range. It gets a little bit harder here, but you do still have a lot of options. So I came up with 8 good belts that you can pick from a number of different brands. So working from the most expensive down at $167, you have the Titan 13mm lever belt. At $160 to $165, you have the Pioneer 13mm adjustable belt. At $145, you have the Inzer ratchet belt. At $139, you have the Titan 13mm prong belt. At $129, you have the Inzer 13mm belt. You can pick the lever or prong. They're both the same price. At $120, you can go with Inzer 10mm belt, which if you want a 10mm instead of 13, it's a little bit cheaper. And that's also the same price for the lever or the prong. And then at $107.50, you have the Titan 10mm lever belt. And then down at the bottom at $103, you have the Stoic lever belt. You can pick either 10mm or 13mm option. So you have a lot to pick from here, from the $103 to $167 price range, depending on what brand you want, depending on whether you need IPF approval or not, depending if you want a lever or a prong, and depending if you want a 10mm or 13mm. In addition, from Pioneer, you get the Pioneer adjustable lever belt. So if you do want something like the SBD that's adjustable or the Titan that's adjustable that are 200 plus, but you don't want to spend that 200 plus, then you can go down to the Pioneer one. The only difference is with the Pioneer one, the price will change a little bit based on the size. So between $160 and $165, and you don't get the IPF approval that the Titan and SBD have. So if you're competing in an IPF affiliate and you need that approval, then you have to go with one of the big dogs, 200 plus. But if you're not, if you're competing in USAPL or USPA or some other federation like that, then you can save money and go with the Pioneer one and spend about $160. But with all these other belts, you can see you have lots of options. So if you're someone who only needs a 10mm belt, the Inzer one I have back here actually is a 10mm belt, and it's the one that I've used for years and I felt great, got a lot of support out of it on the squat and the deadlift. And so you may not need the full 13mm, but with some of these options as well, it's the same price whether you go 10 or 13mm. So you can always go with a 13mm if you're someone who needs that full max 13mm thickness, or you just want the benefit of that. And you get the options if you want a lever or a prong. So if you're someone who wants the quick option for a prong belt, if you're changing between squat, bench, and deadlift, between raw and equipped, if you're changing weight classes, the prong will let you go with all those options really quick, versus with a lever belt, you have to unscrew it, move the position of the lever, and then screw it back on. So that has a downside for lever, but the lever, you can really crank on it and get it tighter if you need that tighter fit. Or like I said, with Pioneer, you get the benefit of both. In addition, as another special belt in this category is that Inzer ratchet belt, which I've never actually used in person, but it seems like another good idea. We're using that ratchet to be able to crank it down tighter and get maybe a smaller adjustment as far as exactly where you need it, and it's gonna be locked in place, and it is IPF approved. So even though it looks a little bit different, you may have never seen anyone use it before, it is IPF approved and you can use it in IPF meets. Personally for me, if I was choosing a belt in this $100 to $200 range, if I wasn't competing in IPF, I didn't need the IPF approval, and I want to go with something that's a quick adjusting like an SBD belt, but I didn't want to spend that money, obviously I'd go with the Pioneer adjustable lever belt, because you are getting that adjustability at a cheaper price range, and it doesn't matter about IPF approved list, it still can be used in USAPL, USPA, and these other federations. But if I was competing in IPF and I had to go with an IPF approved brand, then I would go back with my Inzer belt. I've been using that Inzer belt since about 2011, and it's gone through so many meets and training and everything like that. It's gotten beat up and formed to me well, and the 10 millimeters is plenty for me. And back then it was under $100. Now it's at 120, but still it's on the cheaper end. So if you're looking for something on the cheaper end, closer to $100, I would go with that Inzer 10 millimeter lever belt. You do get the lifetime warranty with it as well. One of the times when I kind of threw it at the wall and dropped it, one of the prongs came off, and then when I saw Inzer at one of the world championships, I brought it up to them without them even looking at my belt or bringing it down from my room and exchanging it like that. They just gave me a brand new lever and said, here you go, and I was able to adjust it real quick and have a brand new lever on this belt that's going to last me again for however many years. And again, it's very easy with Inzer. Either you see them at a competition in person and they'll exchange it for you, or you can just pay for the shipping and they'll ship you out that new lever. All right, now for the challenge. What kind of belts can we find that are under $100, and are any of them actually any good? So for my research and looking around these different sites, I found 3 belts under $100 that I would recommend that you can use for the sport of powerlifting, and then a possible 4th option. So the 3 main belts I found are the Titan 10 millimeter prong belt is $90.50. The Stoic 13 millimeter single prong belt is $84.99, and then the Stoic 10 millimeter single prong belt is $69.99. So with both the Titan and the Stoic, you're getting IPF approval, so you can use that any IPF meet or outside of IPF is going to be allowed in USAPL, USPA, and all those different federations. In addition, you get an option if you want a 10 millimeter, you can go with the Titan or the Stoic, or if you want a 13 millimeter, then you can go with the Stoic 13 millimeter and get the max thickness there as far as the belt. The only limitation you have here is that they are all prong belts. They are not lever belts, so you'd have to go with a prong option versus like this Inzer one where you have to pay more money to get a lever belt. So that still gives you the easy adjustment as far as the size that you want for whatever lift you're doing, but it's not going to be quite as tight of a feeling compared to a lever belt. But still, you can't go wrong with any of these 3 belts. They're from a good company. They're going to be a high quality belt, much better than any crap you're going to find like on Amazon, some cheapo belt that, you know, they just pull out of China. It's not high quality, it might be fake leather, may not have warranty on it, and it doesn't have the IPF approval. So any of these options are going to be good value. It's going to last you many, many years. You're going to get IPF approval. You can basically use it in any and all powerlifting competitions, and you don't have to worry about that when it comes to meet to know whether it's going to be approved or not. And then that 4th option is going to open you up to a number of belts, but it just depends on what your specific situation is, what you're looking for, color, size, IPF approval, that kind of stuff. But liftinglarge.com has a number of belts on there, both IPF approved and non-IPF approved, that are under $100. So you can look into the Lifting Large brand itself, but also they have some other brands on there. So for example, Lifting Large has a 13 millimeter single prong belt that's $65. They also have a 10 millimeter lever belt that's $60. That same lever belt for 13 millimeters is still $75. So you're still well under that $100. For prong versions, you'll see that they have a 2-prong 10 millimeter for $49. They have a single prong 10 millimeter for $49 as well. They have a 10 millimeter pink lever belt for $60 if you want something that's not black. They also have a single prong pink 10 millimeters for $49. So you have a lot of different options there. And with the Lifting Large belts themselves, you get the IPF approval as well. And you have the option to take just the 1-year warranty or pay an extra $10 for the lifetime warranty. So you get a lot of flexibility there as far as the type of belt you want, the thickness, the color, approval or not, how long a warranty, and all those kind of things. So lots of options there, all under $100. Personally, for me, if I was looking for one of these belts under $100, I prefer the lever belt. So I'd probably go with the Lifting Large 10 millimeter lever belt that's only $60. It's still going to be IPF approved. You can still add on $10 for lifetime warranty if you want, pay $70, and it'd probably be similar quality to the Titan and Stoic. It's hard to tell whether quality is going to be as good, but you do have the lifetime warranty there as well to help you out. You'd have to pay more If you want to go with the Stoic and Titan, potentially get better quality there, but then you're only getting a prong belt. You can't get the lever belt. And then if I wanted to get real cheap and I didn't care about having a lever belt because I like lever belts better, I just wanted to go with the cheapest possible belt out there that would actually be good for the sport and help me out with the squat and deadlift, then I'd probably go with the Lifting Large 10mm single prong belt that's only $49. Even if that belt doesn't last you as long as like my injured belt that's lasted over 10 years, let's say it only lasts 5 years, you're still spending only $49 for a belt that's gonna last you 5 years as far as weekly training and multiple competitions per year. It's gonna have the IPF approval, so you can use it in any IPF meet, USAPL, USPA, and all these other federations. It's gonna give you that quick adjustability as a single prong, and it's still gonna be better quality, in my opinion, than any crap that you're gonna find on Amazon, AliExpress, or these other websites where they're trying to sell you, $20 or $30 belts. At a certain point, when you start going too cheap, it's exactly that. You're getting a cheap product. So you wanna find that sweet spot where you're not overpaying, but you're also getting a good quality product, so that's gonna be good value. So if you're trying to go with very cheap, but still get some value, you wanna go with that Lifting Large single prong belt for $49. So there we go. We achieved the challenge. We found the best belts in the $200 and $300 range, some really good quality belts in the $100 to $200 range, and even some good belts to get you started in the sport of powerlifting that's under $100. So now you have no excuse that belts are too expensive. We found multiple options under $100 that's going to be good quality. It's going to last you a long time. And if you want to check out my other budget videos, you can click right here, and I'll see you in the next video.